Hello and welcome to Yokai Hunters Society. This is a game that's available on itch.io, and I will be putting a link to that in the show notes. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Calendar. That's an online gaming community. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. Yokai Hunters Society is a very rules-light game about characters in the, I think, Meiji restoration period, which is at this point 1895 in Japan, a very interesting and turbulent period where we have a real move to rapid modernization for the Japanese. The lords and the old feudal system has been put down just a few years earlier. They've been forced to open to the West when Admiral Perry has arrived and forced them to do that, but they've made these changes. We're just 10 years before the Russo-Japanese War, in which the Japanese decimate the Russian fleets there. So this is a really interesting period of transition. And the premise of this game is that our characters are hunting yokai, which are spirits, monsters. It's a very general category of things of the supernatural in Japan. They're doing it secretly behind the scenes. And the yokai in this period are agitated and are more active than they might otherwise be. So that's the concept. Our characters are secret yokai hunters. They wear masks when they actually do their hunting. But outside of that, they kind of move behind the scenes. They operate in cities. They operate in the countryside. They operate all over. This is an ancient order. And they go to try and deal with yokai that are causing harm, that are causing problems in the region. So our approach for this, our sort of the way we're going to be playing it is we're going to have our characters introduce themselves, and then I will set up the inciting incident, and there will be some investigation. There'll be maybe some roles to gather information, but a lot of it is going to be kind of question, looking around. This is a rules-light game. Since this is a mystery game, I always make a couple of assumptions about how we play out. One of them being that if someone is in a scene and gathers information from an NPC or finds something, when we go to the next scene, even if it maybe doesn't fit with the rules of logic, the next player has access to that information. So you don't have to repeat it or parrot it again, unless you want to keep that secret from the next person, then you can make that explicit. So that's just the way I do it to kind of keep the mystery solving part of this rolling along. Our tone is sort of serious. It's not grimdark. We have monsters here is a slightly tinged horror game, but you're also people who know what they're doing in these cases and are trying to do good. So it definitely has a little bit of a J-horror vibe to it. But maybe not nearly as dark. Within that, our subject is going to be monsters, both human and supernatural, how they get caused, figuring that out, solving problems, and trying to bring a certain kind of justice to the world. With that, we're using a layered set of safety tools. One of them, and the sort of starter one, is our lines and veils, and that is available on a tab there. So please feel free to go through and mark any of those that you have. We have lines, veils, and an ask first. Line being anything hard line that you definitely don't want to see. Veil being anything that we would fade to black on. And then ask first if you're a little leery about something, you want to make sure we get a check-in on that. So that's our first sort of line of defense. If, when we're playing, though, we hit something that maybe hasn't been covered on those lines and veils that you're uncomfortable with, or language that you find objectionable or problematic, or even if you find that something you feel is wildly off tone, we have the X card, which you can just say X card, or you can do the gesture to note that. We'll stop. We'll step back to before the incident. The only question I might ask is where we need to cut, but otherwise we'll make that change. That's a way to essentially support and supplement our lines and veils. If the first couple of times that something happens, you're okay with it, but then later on you're not, it is absolutely legitimate to go ahead and say X card later, even if you let it go a couple of times. And then our last tool that we have is the open door policy, which means that for whatever reason, if you need to step away, if you need to take a break, if you need to walk away, if the game is not your speed, then you should feel free to step away. You can tell us that you're leaving, but you don't have to. You have that right as a player to make that decision here. We will be doing introductions, doing setup. We'll take a break. We may take two, and I have no idea how long the scenario is going to take. But if we get to that last sort of 30 minutes of our 3-hour segment, because this is a one shot, I may hard frame some scenes just to kind of get us into place to kind of move towards a conclusion. I keep a pretty close eye on time, so you may see me do that. Are there any questions about that before I begin? Let me say a little bit about the mechanics, because I think this is important to have a sense of. This is a 2d6 system. You're rolling those 2 dice plus one of your relevant stats, courage, self-control, sharpness, or wisdom. Some of them will be obvious about what task falls under what. You will have items, equipment, that will provide bonuses. If that item fits with it, you can also apply that bonus to the roll. So, if you have a self-control of 1 and a blanket that gives you +3, that's a +4 to the 2d6. It's important to keep an eye on that, because our base difficulty for this game is a surprisingly high 10 plus. 10 plus to succeed. On a 9, you succeed, but there is a heavy cost to that success. And an 8 or less is a fail with the situation escalating. Now, in addition to the bonuses you can get from your items and from your stats, if something that you're doing fits in with your background, I'm a short and serious accountant, blah, blah, blah. If it fits in with that, then you can take advantage, which means you'll roll 3d6, take the 2 highest. There may be situations where it works against you, something is battling you, and you may be rolling with disadvantage, which roll 2d6 and take the 2 lowest. Assisting someone is essentially, if you burn your action helping them, that's a way to give them advantage. You can only get advantage once, so the most you can roll is 3d6. If you really need to do something well, you can risk and roll a curse die. If you'd like to risk your soul to improve an action, you add a d8 to your roll and you discard the lowest. However, if the curse die is greater than your actual cursed resistance points, which it probably will be if it's done well for you, then you attract bad luck and you lose a point from your curse resistance tracker. When you get to no curse resistance, that's very bad for you. It's just a little bit like luck points in Monster of the Week, in that once you're out of that, it's a very bad position for you. So that is all in there. So with that in mind, I'd like to have people introduce their characters. Once introductions are done, I'll take a look at the lines and veils, see what those are. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get to playing. So I'm going to move across the character keeper, left to right. So can we start with Fukuda?
Hey, I am Fukuda Mamoru. I'm a pessimistic, humorous Shinto priest who has been recruited by the society recently and seeks forgiveness for something I'm not sure what yet. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And how old?
I believe he's 56.
Okay,
Yes.
so he's seen a lot in his life, but only recently has come to this society, huh?
I guess so. Yeah, maybe he's worked his way up the ranks of Shinto priestdom or something, and they said, "Hey, this guy's looking good."
And what does your mask look like?
It's a Tengu mask, a red Tengu mask.
Oh, okay, the classic there.
Yep.
And then and he him for pronouns.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
all right. All right, then let's come to Kudo.
Hey, my name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. And yeah, tonight I'm going to be playing Kudo Utano, who is a woman. She is 44 years old. She is short and serious. She is an accountant who spent years learning with the best master in China. I presume the best master of accountancy, though it's not clear.
Yeah.
And she seeks to help the helpless. She wears the Otafuku mask, which is the goddess of mirth, depicted as a round woman.
Do you imagine her as I'm going to use this terrible term, a spinster, or is she married, or is she a widow?
Yeah, I think she is spinster. You know, in the original fashion, you know, she can earn enough money to keep herself. I think we can see that her earnings are quite substantial.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I think she is quite happy to keep to her passion, which is, you know, accountancy and killing demons.
How did you come to come by, you think, a revolver?
I think because right at this point in time they are pretty much illegal.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that it was left as payment in kind by some client who had, you know, a lot of hardware but not very much liquid wealth. So I said, sure, why not? That's worth 100 yen, give or take. So I'll take that.
Yeah, and yeah, the firearms are hard to come by. They're illegal, essentially outside of officialdom, and there are where they exist in the black market. They are vary from the essentially percussion cap pistols to you know perhaps a revolver. Um, the right to bear swords has sort of been taken away from the gentry. But even so, even that anyone, you know, technically could, uh, swords and weapons like that are still hard to come by among the common folk and unusual. That brings us to Takagi.
Hi, my name is Sherry, and I'm playing Takagi Fujita, she, her. She is 33 years old. She is a considerate fighter and production worker who has never showed fear and seeks adventure. And her mask is a shoujo, which is a red-faced drunken spirit. And I think that she is a widow.
Okay.
And I think that, yes, and I think that this is like something that she has chosen to do because there are people who need it and she would otherwise be bored.
Okay. So not a question of your husband died in unusual circumstances, more that you've kind of fallen into desiring.
No, I think
this
he died
adventure?
in the most mundane possible circumstances.
Okay.
If that's possible.
Fell into a well. Okay. And see that you've got a hat and a candle and oil lamp. You've
no weapon.
gone for practicality there. That's fine.
Well, that was just what the spinner was. I was like, am I supposed to have a weapon? If not, I suppose I just help the people who have weapons. So I am considerate after all.
Excellent. And last but not least, Sugawara.
Hi there, I'm Puckett. I am playing Sugawara Takai, who is a dreamer and an impulsive smuggler who used to love the sea and seeks enlightenment.
What you used to love the sea? Is it that you really can't do that job anymore, or is that something has turned for you?
It's difficult to speak of, but I was once married and I had a child, a son I was very proud of, but smuggling was the only life I knew. And during a storm where I was bringing in particularly valuable cargo, he was swept overboard and carried away at the sea. My wife never forgave me. And now I wander and seek enlightenment to atone.
And tell me about this kitsune mask that you have.
It's something I crafted myself because kitsune are clever, like a smuggler has to be. It's a reflection of who I feel like I once was and may yet become again.
Excellent. Before I get to setting up the situation, let me go through our lines and veils that we have established here. So we have lines on harm to animals, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, slavery, torture, virus, pandemic, plague, elections, good call, and veils on sexual content. So those are the things that we have as our kind of guidelines for what we're doing. So we're going to assume as part of this that all of you, maybe you all haven't all worked together, but each of you has worked with at least one other here. And so you do know one another, and probably, if not directly, at least by reputation. Fukuda, what do you suppose is the like sign or symbol or thing that is done that tells you that you need to go to a place, that there is a mission that's been assigned to you?
I think that someone nearby, like some agent nearby, sort of like the Freemason call, like won't someone help the poor widow's son, but something more appropriate to the setting,
Perhaps a quote from a stage play, something like that, from one of the Qui-Gon ghost story plays, and you are supplied with the address that you are to go to. Kudo, what is this place that you are called to? Is it in a town, or is it on the outskirts, or is it on the road? Where do we think we meet?
I think it's on the outskirts of town, maybe a watermill,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit run down. Maybe technology has overtaken it a little bit. It's not quite as doing as much business as it used to, but quiet and out of the way, and that's maybe how we operate.
Very much that everything is kind of creaking. You have that sound of the mill wheel going outside in the water, sloshing. We can see the old, just solid wooden piston that they would use with that. And of course, when you come in, mice and things go scattering. They've been hunting for the last of the grains that are here. Takagi, what is the mask of the person who is here to give you your assignment?
I think it's always the fool, isn't it? So is that the Buaka? It's a caricature of Obamishi? Not sure.
I think that seems fine.
Yes.
They are there. What is unusual about their dress, Sugawara? Male, female? How are they dressed with this mask?
It appears to be a man wearing a fine silk kimono. And it feels strange because Perhaps this is to confuse the spirits, to further distract them and protect the wearer from harm.
And it's a very classic kimono. Most people have moved to the more modern European style dress, or even, a mix of European and classical fashions. Certainly amongst the middle class and upper class, that is the fashion. This person clearly is of that category. And he will say, greetings to the four of you. We have an unusual situation that we suspect involves the yokai, but we do not know for sure. It's going to require you to take a journey of about a day to the north, away from town. I will tell you what we know. One of our agents was passing through a place called Naimura Village. It is growing now because to the north of it lies the Nobu Valley, where the government has set up new mining and logging industries. But that's still a way further. Our agent was heading there to that valley to see about another matter. But when he stopped over in Naimura, he overheard that there had been some unusual deaths in the area, but also that people were keeping things quiet. Send a note to us to say that he believed there were at least 3 deaths, and that he had managed to get from someone that they found one of the people buried deep. And I don't know more than that, but that the sound of it, that it was unusual. We want the 4 of you to travel to Naimura Village to find out what is going on. And if it is a yokai that has harmed people in the area, then you need to dispatch it. Are there any questions? Good. That is what I like to not hear. So I will leave you go on your way. Our agent has moved on, so the 4 of you will have to figure out how you present yourselves when you reach this village. It is a very rural place, though, as I understand it, there is a local government inspector in the area, and there are more travelers moving through it, so they may be a little more modern than others. But I will leave you to that. And he will depart and essentially leaves you there on your own. So Fukuda, of the other 3, who do you think you've worked with the most? At least like more than once or twice?
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe Sugawara.
Okay. And like Sugawara, what was the last kind of task that you and Fukuda undertook?
It was relatively minor. A village officiant felt that their pet had been possessed by a yokai. And it was not the case that their pet had been possessed by a yokai. It was the case that their dog needed to be trained.
Ah. It's somewhat better when you hit those instances.
It is.
And then Akudo, we'll assume that you've worked with Takagi. when the two of you went on your last mission, what was your cover, as it were?
Do you think we could get away with being inspectors, or is that a gender?
No, I
role
think
we
I
could-
think if we set it as that you could have done that, especially with your accountancy skills.
Exactly. Your accountancy skills and her familiarity with production work.
Exactly.
I think.
I
And
think we made a real difference to that place.
and Takagi, what was the situation there?
I think that, oh boy. I think that it was a rather classic, what do you say? Not the kappa, but another one of the water yokai that had drawn some of the local drunkards, how should we say, to their death in the waters. Yeah, we only found it out because he attempted to, the yokai attempted to pull in someone who was not drunk and had the presence of mind to put up a big enough racket that we could actually intervene. But it was good. My job usually in those times of pressure is to make sure that there's a good bit of lighting on the yokai so that Utano's shot is as good as possible. So I waded into the wall with the oil lamp over my head.
There is an equipment list, and you will be able to buy additional equipment in the course of this. But we will kind of cut. We probably see the journey montage of the four of you making your way to this location. We'll assume that you stay at a way house about halfway, and then continue on such that you can arrive about midday at Naimura Village. Let me tell you about it as what you can see here, and then I'll ask kind of how you want to approach this and what you want as your kind of cover identity, what your story is. It looks like it's a modest village. There's a single road. They've clearly built the houses and buildings along this single road. There are a few others nearby. It looks like they must do modest farming around here, wood gathering, but they've clearly had more travelers through, so that there is an inn, there is a drinking house, there is like a public office. You can see where they put the poles up to eventually run the telegraph lines through here, but they clearly haven't done the wiring on that quite yet. The road, they've tried to do some patching and repairing, but it's clearly that the sort of industrial carts and things that have gone through here up to north have really dug deep ruts into here. And given that it's rained recently, there probably are some heavy mud puddles. The thing that will strike you is that there is nearby a woods that stretches up onto a small mountainside nearby. So you guess that there's a lot of wood gathering, a gathering of things from the forests. Maybe there's hunting, and there's definitely essentially a mountain there. There's a small shrine here. Nothing big though. No Torii arch or fancy establishment in this place. So Fukuda, do you want to go in presenting yourself as a traveling priest?
Yeah, I'll go in undercover.
Okay, all right. So let me ask the others how they wish to present themselves in this case. Kuda, what do you think?
I think we may as well keep with what we know. I think the detail on the road, obviously, this being a main route up to the industrial growth area to the north, I think there needs to be some kind of a not a survey, but a study done on how much traffic comes through, something to give us an excuse to sit in the open and watch people walk to and fro, right?
So you and Takagi on that. Sugawara, are you in on that, or do you have another identity you wish to use here?
I'll be posing as a coastal peddler and tinker. I have some items on my boat that make it seem convincing enough, and I know how to make small repairs to pots, pans, that sort of thing.
We will yeah, you can. Since this isn't a place where you can necessarily have your boat, you can modify that item, and or we can say that you can, since there is a pond and a river near here, if you wish to have the boat on that, I'm good with that as well.
That works.
Okay. So it's midday. The sun is up. It's kind of beating down, so you're getting that little bit of humidity that you get after a day of rain. People, with these rural villages, you're always, looked at as strangers, but here it's a little bit better. Like people are clearly greeting you, and outsiders going through is not an unusual thing. So, Fukuda, what do you want to do to start as the four of you arrive here?
I think I'm gonna be deep cover still, and kind of make the rounds of the town, perhaps like collecting for alms, and then just try to get the lay of the land, to look out for any kind of places that might be particularly spooky. Pass by the graveyard. I just kind of stake the place out to get a feel of it, to reconnoiter.
So you will definitely wander. You talk to people. The inn looks like it's a fairly decent travelers inn. The drinking establishment seems to be, locals and travelers through. The headman, you will pick up that his name is Asai Mojiro, and the sense that you get is that he's fairly conservative. You will see this inspector who's clearly overseeing things here, very Western dress, pants, glasses, suit jacket, tie, all of that, clearly kind of moving around and kind of checking over things here in that very officious way. But the other thing that you will note, there are other people here. You'll see a doctor's office, for example, but you'll notice that there is a fairly overgrown sort of path road that goes up out of the village up into the mountains. Like it's a little bit more maintained, or a little bit nicer before it fell into disrepair, I actually want to say. But you don't see anybody using it. So let's come to Kudo. You see Fukuda kind of move around position. Very quickly people are accepting that there's a Shinto priest in moving around this area. How do you want to handle things?
So I think we probably should, present ourselves to the headman initially, at least, because if we set up shop, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be disrespectful at the very least, not to mention suspicious. So, we present ourselves. And,
so you'll go into what is a very clearly a recently set up building. More wood frame, Western style tables inside. You can see that there are note papers and so on, and this official in very much a suit jacket, a sort of formal military style hat on, will greet you, kind of gets the sense that you're. She says, "So what is it that you two are looking into here? What is it?"
Well, as we noticed, as I'm sure you have noticed, the state of the road is not conducive to efficient transportation. And so we have been tasked with appraising it for improvement. We will, I'm sure, take some notes from your observations, but we just require somewhere to set up to make our scientific study.
And you can see there's that immediate sort of, you kind of stepped into his territory, and he's clearly a little put out in the survey. I didn't hear about it, kind of survey. Do you want to try and convince him to kind of be on your side here? We have another intent.
I mean, I guess, but I suppose it'll be like maybe a sense of bureaucratic, incompetence. They're always so tardy about sending out notifications to our local experts, but I'm sure they've been overworked. So I guess I am, maybe showing a little bit of impatience myself.
Okay.
If that, I guess, a sense of empathy with
Sure.
him for,
Yeah.
these idiots back at HQ, right?
Yes.
They don't understand what it's like going out in the field.
Yeah. And if I may assist,
Yeah.
I simply bow and nod along with you all the time, very much that sort of absolute agreement.
And while he is annoyed, it does. You do have have another person with you, which puts you in another scale up on importance. So he does recognize that's that sort of hierarchy. But I think I want you to roll.
Okay.
You'll have advantage from Takagi's help. What stat do you think feels most appropriate to that? Sharpness, self-control?
Let me have a look at the descriptions. There is any descriptions. Oh, I got it. I mean, I would say either self-control or wisdom seem most appropriate here.
Okay, let's go with self-control. That's a little
Okay.
bit to your strength there.
Let me just load up the roller thing.
Do you have any items that are appropriate to?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. Certainly not the.
That's a revolver.
Not the revolver. Okay, so. Oh, well, that'll do. I got 2 6s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So his attitude changes very much so. He listens to what you have to say, and he's like, it is good that people at the Capitol are finally recognizing that if we are to make this place a viable pass-through, that we need to put in the effort and time. These people around here don't listen to me. I've tasked them with things, but they move so slowly. They are villagers, and many of the young men have already headed north to work in the mine and the lumber. So there are fewer people here. So it is good. It is good that you have come. I will ask for one of the empty houses to be set aside for the two of you. I will speak to the headman. He will do it because the headman listens to what I have to say.
Of course. Well, thank you very much for your assistance in this matter. Your dedication will be noted, I'm sure.
Oh, and I am Gotaro Taisuke. Apologizes for not saying that earlier, but he seems very, very pleased now to have more support. That now he clearly thinks that having 3 inspectors will allow him to have more pull and more weight here in the local area.
Poor Gotaro.
Is there anything you're looking for during this conversation, Takagi?
I think one of the things is I want to see if I can see what it is that he has been looking into, which might give me some sense of what might have been recently disturbed.
You definitely have the sense that he's focused on, getting the road set up, and maybe helping with the waterway, because clearly they do have the come down off the mountain not exactly a river, but a usable stream, and he's clearly been surveying and mapping that. Like he has documents for the mountainside and for those things where he's kind of done surveys. There are big patches where he has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of here there be dragons ? Kind of things.
Exactly, but still, what he's done is of high quality. At least I significantly pointed out to Utano, and with a nod of appreciation, and I do sort of very mildly ask about the telegraph lines.
He says those are to be put in before winter. That is the plan right now.
And she asks, how far do they go towards the north?
They're coming from the capital, so they'll have to pass through here before they reach. It's another at least half-day journey to reach the valley from here.
This will be very fine for you.
He will supply you with one of his rough sketch maps of the area. We'll give that a +1 bonus. Essentially, I've already worked on this one, but it has enough information to help you in doing your surveys. Sugawara. The others have gone in. You see Kudo and Takage speak with this official and clearly, get him on board with the efforts. And you see Fukuda has moved around, made himself known, and sort of visible in the area. What do you want to do?
Really quickly, would
Sure.
you be okay if I swapped the boat out for a wagon, since it seems this is a roadway?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So seeing that this official is quite clearly the person in charge, I will approach them and say, "Greetings, honored official. My name is Sugawara Takai. I am a peddler and tinker. I was curious if your village has a place for travelers such as myself to set up and provide services to villagers."
And he's about to open his mouth to say something when you hear this grumbling voice goes, "Well, that's my decision." And you see this somewhat plump headman. He's got more classical clothes, but he's got a kind of a more formal jacket over it. And he comes waddling up to where you are, and he says, "I'm Headman Mojiro. Come with me, peddler. I will show you where you can set up your wares. This one is just an official."
I see. Thank you for correcting me.
And you see that clearly Taisuke and Mojiro do not like each other at all. Like there's definitely daggers that go between the two of them. But he'll the headman will take you over to a place, and he will set you up. Say, "Here, this is a good spot for you to set up. Fine location, easy access. It's always good to have peddlers come through here."
Tell me, do you have a way to pass word to the people in the village about the services I can provide?
Well, once they see you here, they should the word should pass. But I'll be glad to walk about and tell key people. There are a few others in neighboring farms and things down the roads that may come in, I'll make sure that a young man is sent that way. It certainly will be my pleasure to assist you in such a way.
Thank you. I take it you've lived here quite some time.
I've lived here all my life.
You certainly seem to know the area very well.
No one knows it better than I.
It's a very lovely part of the country.
It is. And you're a little surprised, like he's still standing there, even while you're making small talk. And then you'll kind of realize that one of his hands is sort of slightly out, maybe a little bit up.
I wonder.
Yes.
First, may I have your name?
I am Asai Mojiro, headman of Naimura Village.
And I bow very deeply.
Oh, no. We do not stand on those things these days. The age of the nobles is gone.
I see. Tell me, are there any services that I can provide for you?
It does so happen that you're a tinker.
I am indeed.
That I do have a few things that need mending, and perhaps you could put them to the top of your queue.
I would be honored to do so, and without charge.
You are most generous. I will have my wife come and bring a few things to you a little bit later today. If you have any problems, you should come and see me. I am the one you need to talk to.
Thank you, Headman Mojiro.
And thank you, Master Sugawara. And he does walk along, and you can see him kind of poke his head in, like the general store and other things. And hey, there's a tinker here, and it does pass the word for you.
Freebies work. Who knew?
And you can get set up. And I think relatively quickly you'll have some people coming by with blades that need sharpening and that kind of thing. Let's swing back to Fukuda. Let's maybe do another once around before we kind of bring the group together to cross paths and talk. What is it that you want to do? What is it you want to look into?
Well, first, I want to, like I said, wanted to get the lay of the land. I thought maybe I would stop by the temple to see if, I could speak to any of the priests there to find out if there's any sort of shenanigans going on.
You're shocked that there is no temple here. There is just a shrine.
Huh. Okay. Do I detect anything? Like, do I detect any sort of like, I was reading about it. There's like a whole balance of like, avoiding the impure and, backing up the pure. Do I sense any of that impurity? It's kegare, which means pollution, I guess.
I think that you'll definitely get a strange feeling. One of the things you'll see is that the little shrine that they have that's a little bit offset. There have been a lot of donations and offerings over the last few days. People have clearly come here in the last week and really cleaned this shrine up, and there have been a lot more offerings. Like clearly something is going on here that has the villagers upset enough that they are clearly turning back to the shrine here.
Is it possible for me to kind of set up shop, do a purifying ritual?
Absolutely.
I think that's going to kind of be my hook into the city. Be like, hey, everybody, don't worry, I'm here now. And then see if we can get like some kind of purification ritual happening. Like I'm reading about it. There's like a whole, whole elaborate rituals that can be done. Just as like, even if it's not to actually combat what's going on, more so just to kind of calm the local populace that, someone's on the case.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll definitely be able to set that up, get that going, and people will come, and very quickly people have brought you some food, they've brought you some water, they've brought you some drink. They come by and there's a sort of nervousness to them, and they seem relieved that you're here, and they will say, "It is so good to have have one of your kind coming through, Master Fukuda. Thank you, thank you.
Of course, of course. Although the way of the world is changing, you can't really deny the old ways. They were here first for a reason, and it's my humble job is to try to bring peace in places where there's trouble.
It is so good. We've always just simply had the shrine here and a few shrines in the woods. We've never had, a temple or a person to see to the matters. But you think you can purify the area?
Well, can you tell me, are there any places in particular that might need more attention than others?
And there's some mutterings, and you hear someone say Whitebeard, and then the other one kind of waves and shushes them, and they say, well, there've been some incidents lately. Any kind of general thing would be good.
Who's this Whitebeard?
All right. So clearly you start to kind of push a button here. So what do you want to roll to pull out this info from them? Does it feel like wisdom, sharpness?
Sorry, hold on a second.
Sure.
Let's see. I think it would probably be. Yeah, I think wisdom would be the move.
And do you have is one of your backgrounds appropriate for doing this kind of conversation?
My background is. I guess my background is the Shinto priest. No.
Yeah. I think that would work. So we'll give you advantage. You'll roll with the +1. Do you have any items that you're using to give yourself a bonus here?
I have. Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
I have. Well, I don't know if that would help in this instance, but I have a Hyontan, which is a gourd canteen.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Essentially, it's a gourd,
right?
And you can tell me what you have in it. Do you have spirits? Are you offering them a drink? That kind of thing.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. So it gives me, if I use it in context, however I decide to use it, I get a +3 on my rolls.
Yes, you do. Correct? Yeah, I think this is definitely an appropriate place for that.
Is this it's not one time, right? Like, so
no.
If I have,
no.
Okay, so if I have it, if I have it, and I do some magic with it now, I can use it later still, right?
Yes, unless your failure
right.
would cost you it. But in this case, I don't think it would.
All right, so I say what I have in there is I have I don't know if I can do this, but I'll say that I have blessed water in it.
Oh.
But the water actually contains is it kame? Kame, is that the kami or kame? That are that are helpful to me. So if I want to get information out of these guys, it would be a good way of handling that.
Certainly has some of that blessings of the kami on it. Yeah, I like that. So roll 3d6 and add 4 after you've dropped the lowest die.
6. Oh, hold on a second. And then I add, what do I add? 3?
You get for your wisdom 1, and then for the item 3, so a total of 4.
Okay. 6 + 4. So I got 15.
Ooh, holy moly! Gotta love that. So you will get a couple of them to kind of step away, and they say, there have been strange things afoot. The headman has not wanted to speak of it, but there have been deaths. And
Sorry, I have a little hard time hearing. Can you
Oh,
speak
sure.
a little bit?
he goes, yes, it's there've been people that have gone, people have died, and the headman has tried to keep it more quiet. He doesn't want to disturb things. He says it's just natural things, but we all think it must be Whitebeard. He lives up in his estate on the mountain, and he keeps to himself, but he's already killed 3 wives, and even servants, we've heard. He only sends his one servant down into town, but he was always called Whitebeard. Even when he was young, his beard had turned a full white. But now he's old, and of course he's the old noble lines. And they kind of keep to themselves. I mean, he does. I think it's just him and his servant alone now in the house and their gardens that are there, and it must be him. I mean, there's something wrong with him.
And so where can he be found?
And they point to that road that's kind of looks like it was once nice and is kind of badly tended. If you follow the skeleton of that road up the mountain, you'll eventually reach Whitebeard's estate, but he doesn't let anybody in. Well, sometimes collectors come through from town, from other towns, and go, and he sells things to them that he has. But otherwise, he doesn't come down, and he doesn't talk to anyone here.
When was the last time he was seen in town? Ever?
I think somebody says 9 years ago when his wife died, his last wife.
So how do we know that? Was the law involved in investigating this, or was it just heard over?
Oh, no one could. I mean, he's old noble family. No one would investigate. No one would doubt his word about his wife's death. But we all knew. We knew.
Well, it sounds that's where the pollution might be. So thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for all this information. Here, take another sip. This has been blessed by the kami. Anybody who's around, I give them all a sip.
Okay.
The blessings for you. Hopefully, they will bring calmness to your home. And I will continue to work on this ritual. It may to kind of stabilize things here, and then perhaps I will be looking into speaking with Whitebeard.
Excellent. Let us come to Kudo and Takagi. You've been given this map. You've gotten some information. You have a chance to kind of wander or talk to people or go and look into things before night falls. Do you want to do this separately or together? What do you think?
I am here to assist Utano in every possible way.
But seriously, once the audience is gone, do we think up to investigating along this road up to Whitebeard's mansion to see if there's any signs of, burials or anything like that?
She goes, yes, it might be good to get a look down to the village, to see if there are disturbances elsewhere is wise. So let us look for a viewing point.
Yeah. So I guess if we can get up high, maybe even climb a tree, to get a good vantage point, which will show some tracks or freshly disturbed earth or something like that.
So
Before we go,
yes.
I will stop at the drinking place though, and essentially order for ourselves lunch and tea to take with us.
They'll give you a wrapped worker's lunch. there and fill your pot, your traveling pot with tea, and you can walk up into the woods. It's summer, so it's kind of verdant green through here. You can see where there's a road and sometimes there's steps, and it's not particularly well cared for. It's clear that it is used from time to time. There are marks of passage, and you will move up about, a good maybe 30, 40 minutes. And then it kind of splits, and you can see from the map that you have that one path kind of goes to more of the mountain itself. One path heads up to this estate, and one path heads to a nearby pond that is fed by the stream. So which way would you two like to go, or would you like to split up?
Well, I like a bit of adventure, but I like a bit of company as well.
It is.
But not
It
want
is.
to leave Utando at a disadvantage.
There is that thing where the light is kind of coming through the leaves, but it still kind of gets that dimness that you get when you're under that full canopy of tree there.
It also holds the humidity too, doesn't it?
Yeah. The cicadas are in full force through here.
Mm. All right.
So which way?
I mean, I think the pond and the glade is going to be, interesting for later, but maybe not the best place to get a proper survey of the region. Maybe the middle path.
Okay.
What do you think, Sherry?
You will
Yes.
Okay.
walk up the path and kind of going through the trees. And the thing that will strike you is there's a moment when you're on the path, and then you realize that the path is kind of ended. And it takes you a second to kind of blink, and you realize that there's actually a wall and a house and some fencing outside that you're in forest. Suddenly there's this house. The grounds around here haven't been cleared in years. But there's definitely evidence, footpaths around the outside. The garden is kind of verdant and clearly tended. But the ivy has grown up on the walls. Trees have kind of been let to overgrow. Even you can see them kind of leaning over the wall of this. You can't yet see inside the grounds, but you can tell that it's been let go. You can see in places where the roofing has kind of given, but it must have been a beautiful old house in its day.
Same.
So do we?
Do you want me to climb a tree?
Yeah, why not? Climb a tree and see if you can get a look out. See what we can see. I think. Is there anything that we can use? Maybe the kind of tree it is. Maybe we can use the blanket as a makeshift rope to help climb up, to use as a little bit of a lever to get over some branches or whatever.
Yeah. So climbing the tree wouldn't be a test, but I think climbing the tree and staying hidden and getting a good view, that will be a test.
Yeah.
That feels right to me. So this feels like courage, Takagi.
Oh, all right. Well, all of my stats are the same. So I roll 2d6 and I add 3.
You'll add
plus my 4.
4. Do you have anything? Well, I assume that Kudo, you're assisting.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will definitely
Kind of
help.
look out and kind of helping. Okay, so you can roll it with advantage.
Okay, so I'm rolling 3 and I'm adding 4. Let's see.
Take the 2 highest.
Well, it gives me 5 plus 4 is a 9.
is
Hmm.
a 9.
Yes.
So you
Awesome.
will get up into this quietly, up into the canopy of this tree, and you can see that, there's those porches on the classic sort of Japanese estate house. Those have been kept clear, but otherwise it's overgrown. You can see that there is a light, like clearly like a fire or a lamp in one of the rooms there. You can see that only part of the house is particularly used. Like there's at least one part of it that the windows have been let go and nothing has been cared for. The garden is overgrown with uh, uh, bottle gourds and kabocha squash and Hokkaido squash and green and orange and yellow all through there. And it definitely looks like, this must be where Whitebeard lives. Uh, you will note no tracks around here except for like footpath tracks. Like clearly he has a servant that comes and goes. And I think that's the point at which the branch gives way.
Oh no! Thank goodness for the blanket.
And I think the branch cracks,
Mhm.
and you will try to brace your fall, and you do, and you hit with a oomph, and you realize that you've fallen over the wall inside the grounds.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
Of course.
We'll come back to the two of you in just a moment. Sugawara, what are you up to?
I'm making small repairs to items while I wait for Headman Majuro's wife.
Okay. She will arrive with a couple of kettles and probably a knife that has been dulled and bent that she needs repaired. And she will give you greetings. She will hand you these things, and she says, "I take it my husband has already made arrangements."
Of course. In fact, if you'd like to wait here, I will fix these things immediately.
Certainly. And she will sit, and probably one of the headman's kids, a younger one, will come and bring tea for you and her. And she sits there patiently, waiting for this to be done. What do you want to do? You have an intent for your interaction here?
I want to see if she knows anything or if she will reveal anything. So I'll start making small talk about kids and what a joy they are and what a blessing they are.
So essentially kind of trying to draw her out, maybe see what she would say about local gossip, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think that is stat-wise to do this? Because she's a little reluctant. You're getting into some territory here that might be more questionable.
I feel like since I'm older and I'm talking about the blessing that children are, that might fall under wisdom.
That feels right. It feels right. So it's a +2. Do you have an item you want to use?
Does the wagon count?
Yeah, you brought the wagon over. This is part of your job, so +4.
And then does my background count since, I lost my son at sea?
Ooh, interesting. Oh, yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, I like it.
Okay,
Push those numbers.
So I'm rolling 3 dice with +4, correct?
3 dice, taking the 2 highest, dropping the
Okay.
last one, and then adding +4 to that.
Let's see what we got here. Oof. That is absolutely brutal.
I mean, even with the 4, the +4.
Yeah.
What did you get?
That I've got a 7.
Okay.
I rolled snake eyes and a 2.
So I think that what happens is you kind of finish up with her, and you're a little bit a ways off from the village, and you kind of standing up and looking, and then suddenly you hear this crash, and you see these young men, and they have pushed your wagon over and dumped everything out. And one of them, with a kind of half scar on his cheek, says, "Who told you you could set up here?"
Headman Mojiro.
Headman Mujiro doesn't do anything. If you want to set up here, you got to talk to us.
And who might you be?
Where do people get things done around here? So we'll take a few coin from you, maybe this kettle here too, and then we'll consider that your fee for setting up.
You know, I don't have a whole lot of self-control, and I did spend a long time as a smuggler, and I've dealt with people like this before.
Yeah.
I want to get in their face.
Okay.
Right up in their face and challenge them and point out that they are young. And that gives them the advantage of strength and vitality, but I am old and mean.
So I think that you are getting in a fight with them. So let's take a break, and then we'll come back and see how that fight resolves back, and then we'll do the once around. Sound okay?
Sounds good. How
Okay.
long of a break?
Let's take 5. Is that cool?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Back in a few.
I'm present and accounted for.
The only problem with having a green background is it reflects on my glasses and then it green screens my eyes. So I have to tilt my head down just slightly. Puckett, are you back? Give me a sec. So Sherry, Donna, am I saying that right? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I don't know if you're muted or your mic has gone out or.
Back whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know why, but maybe the connection was a bit frizzy. But yeah, it's Donna.
Donna is Rich's rival who has trounced him on the playing new games. So
Oh,
Well,
no.
I mean, he trounced me for plenty of years when I first started.
Yes.
So I was looking at him. He had hit 42 or 44 the first year I joined, and I was on 15. And I went, "How rich are you doing this?"
Yeah, he's a machine.
he is.
And he keeps close track. That's a big part
Yeah.
of it. So, but you've beaten him. That is, yeah, he shakes his fist at the sky because of
Yeah, I
that.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure his ladder of insanity is gonna
12
hit
or
the ceiling
13.
again this year.
He's not doing it this year, but he keeps sending us messages. I'm not doing it this year, but if I was,
I would be
Yeah.
on
this
run
is where I
12.
would be.
Like, good thing you're not doing it, Rich.
Sugawara. This feels like courage. I'm going to take on these young thugs here.
I feel like that is that feels appropriate.
Do you, go on.
I was going to say, I got to feel like my background comes into play here.
You're a smuggler. Yeah, I think that definitely plays into it.
So that is rolling with advantage and +2, correct?
That is correct.
All righty. Wow, this is brutal. And that is a 5 and a 6. So that's just to start with. And then there's the +2 from courage.
So tell me how you, I mean, these are our youthful thugs. Tell me what it looks like when you, I mean, there's at least one broken nose, but tell me what happens here.
They messed with the tinker. I know everything in that wagon. So I am doing it's almost comical. Like I'm putting a kettle on one person's head and hitting it with a spoon to disorient them. But there's also a fair amount of fairly vicious hand-to-hand combat. One of them is probably going to walk with a limp for quite some time after he got his knee kicked out.
Oh, yeah, they walk away clutching their sides, holding one of them between them to pull them away, blood running down their face, and they shake their fists at you like, "Oh, we'll get you, Tinker," but then they run faster when you kind of step towards them.
And I actually want them to put my wagon back up and put the things back in it.
Oh, I think with that roll, yes, they will do that before they take off. So, Kudo, when you see Takagi fall into the yard of this estate, what do you do?
I mean, I think there is a moment of shocked silence, followed by, I think only because there's no one else around to hear her, by a curse that maybe she's picked up from a criminal in need of an accountant in her past.
Mm-hmm.
And
It hangs heavy in the air, ripples through the garden.
And I think, the prospect of climbing up, obviously the branch that Takagi was on has broken, so maybe that's a way into the garden that way, cut off. So I think I may have to look for a side gate or something like that.
Yeah, you can make your way around. There are two gates. There's a main gate, and then there's a side gate by the garden. Which one do you? They're both about equidistant from you right now.
Yeah, I think the side gate maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So you will run over there and get at the latch of that. So the wind is knocked out of you, Takagi, when you hit that ground, and you will hear running, and you will see this young man, maybe early 20s. He's dressed in servant's clothes, and he's like, and you see he's got a stick with him, and then he sees you're a woman, and he's like,
And she will stand up, she will brush herself off, and she will give him a very polite nod, and she goes, I am very sorry. And she goes, we were trying to look down the mountain. She goes, should I go through that gate?
And he's still he's clearly not trying to figure out what's going on. Kudo, you see that Takagi is talking with this young man who doesn't seem to be speaking back to her. Do you want to come over there, or do you want to kind of flank?
If I can get through the gate, if it's not locked.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah. So I think maybe, given that I see she is okay, I will maybe knock at the gate for his attention.
And he kind of looks over at you, and he looks back, and he's like,
that is Inspector Kudo. We should go and see her.
and he looks
Is
back
he
like
mute?
yeah.
Oh, and she goes, we will leave.
And you hear, what is going on out there, Hito? And you see this side door slide open, and this bear of a man in more classical clothing. He has long, dark black hair, but this shocking white beard. And he looks, he sees his servant Hito, and he sees you, and then he looks and he sees someone at the gate. Who are you people?
She goes, I'm very sorry, sir. My name is Takagi Fukuda. And she sort of says, we are surveyors. She goes, when we hit the end of the path, we thought perhaps if we climbed a tree, we could look down the mountain. But unfortunately, I fell. I'm very sorry, and we will take our leave.
Kind of storms over to where you're at, kind of grabs you by the arm.
I am courageous and never show any sign of fear.
And he comes over there, and he looks at you, Kudo.
Sir, you're going to unhand my colleague right now.
Oh, am I?
One way or the other, good sir.
What? You are on my property. You are on my land, and you would dare to say such a thing to me?
Well, I'm at the gate, but let's not let the facts get in the way of your bluster.
And I want. Do you think are you trying to talk him down? Are you trying to intimidate him, or what's your goal?
I'm not sure talking him down is exactly what I would say it is. I guess I'm trying to intimidate him.
Okay. So I think that's courage.
Okay.
Are you using an item?
I mean, I could show the handle of a pistol, right?
Yeah, you could.
If I, in almost classic Western fashion to, sweep whatever fold of the kind of jacket of my kimono aside.
I think that's perfect. So that'd be rolling with a +4.
Can I assist by acting with some alarm when she does that, as if I know that this could be a very bad scene?
Okay, I like that. Oh God, she's gonna shoot him.
Oh no.
I mean, I
Not
have
again,
almost
not
never
again.
shot someone in this circumstance before, have I? Okay,
So, yeah.
so
+4 with advantage.
4 with advantage. See what the dice are not being kind to us today. But that is a 9 at least. So
So
at least it's not a less than a 9. Right?
So I think that he laughs like this, like suddenly this all just seems absurd and silly to him, but his hand shoots out and he grabs that revolver from you.
Okay.
And he says, come in, we will talk.
I thought, yeah. I mean, I am of the mind to admonish him for such ungentlemanly conduct as to like touch a lady's person. But hey, he's already shown that he doesn't care about that. So I guess I will just regard him as not a gentleman, and and look over to Takagi to see whether she wants to just leave or
I
choose
think-
this as an invitation to investigate further.
Oh, I think she's very much on the invitation. She goes, that seems very sensible, sir.
You'll get your gun back when you leave.
You are most kind.
You know you don't mean that. You don't need to say that. Come in. Hito, fix tea for the ladies. We'll go sit on the porch and you can explain to me what you were surveying.
Right. And she goes, and we've brought sandwiches.
He seemed kind of clearly interested at that. We have squash. Quite a lot of squash.
Always lovely.
But come and sit. And he gestures. He definitely keeps the gun kind of tucked in the belt of his kimono there. Has you sit, and the young man will bring tea for you, and pours that out, and does bring some cooked squash out here, and he will say, "I am Okudo Nambu." But I expect you already knew that.
And she looks at the survey map and she says, yes, Akudo no Pampa. And she points to it. She goes, we are very sorry.
Why are you surveying on the mountain?
And
He's clear, like that clearly bugs him. Like he's a
Really?
little worried here.
And I think she stops at this point and nods to you and she goes, the mountain allows us to look back down across the town so that we can see how the road runs. It's in terrible disrepair right now. Sometimes it's the path of the road that is the problem, at least according to the Otano's calculations.
The water, when it rains hard, does wash down. It's needs a break to keep it from washing into the road.
Exactly. So we had hoped to be able to get a bit of a view, but everything is so very green right now.
May I have a sandwich?
Oh, yes, please. And she'll point out the 2 different kinds that there are so he can choose.
He will take it in that he eats it in that way that clearly this is not something he gets very often. Kind of gulps it down and then realizes just how fast he's done that, and he will reach into his belt and he will hand your gun back to you, Utano.
Thank you, sir.
I am sorry.
What one of these modern sandwiches can achieve.
Says, I'm sorry, I'm not well loved. around here. You'll excuse my attitude and my paranoia.
And why is that, good sir?
Old village superstitions I keep to myself. My family used to command this area, but the times have changed. Now I keep to my own conscience.
She stops. She goes, but you have a good sense of civic works.
I've lived here long enough to know what needs to be done there.
Well, perhaps this would be a good era for you to be more involved.
No, not at all. No.
Well, if you do not care about your own reputation, perhaps you could write an anonymous letter to the magistrates of the town with your recommendations for public works, if you do not want to take credit for your knowledge.
You can see that's never occurred to him. And he's like, come back tomorrow. I will write out such a letter, but no one in town, I do not want to give it. They will know who it comes from if I hand it to anyone otherwise. And if I give it to Hito, they'll know. If you come back tomorrow, I'll give you a letter with that. You should be heading back soon. It will be dark, and you do not wish to walk in the forest after dark.
She goes, can you think of a place on the map where we could go that we could get a good view?
And he will mark a spot a little bit up from his place, but he'll also mark a spot that's like clearly down the mountain path there. Off to that there's a sort of a high place, and then you see he goes, and then he actually erases that and marks a different place.
She stops and says, why not there?
It is too treacherous.
Ooh.
Too treacherous. He says, clearly lying.
All right. And she says, have there been accidents on the mountain?
Yes. People have fallen. You two should go now.
Very well.
Okay, yeah.
She will have left behind her sandwich. So.
Okay. Let's come back to Fukuda as the day is drawing to its end. You probably would have heard that scuffle, the sound of Sugawara's cart getting overturned, and then some punches being thrown, and the gonging of a kettle at one point.
All right. Yes. I'm in the middle of my ritual, but I stop and I listen and I turn and I take my I take whatever gear is appropriate. I've got a sword and my gourd. I think that's all I have to my name, other than the world materials. And I head over to see what the hubbub is about.
You see these three late teens, dragging one of their number away. They've clearly been in a scuffle with Sugawara and have not gotten the better end of it. And Sugawara looks completely fine, untouched.
I start laughing, it's really just struck me funny. And I call out and I'm like, I cannot believe I've just seen an old man beat 4 boys. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, or whatever. And I slap my knee and I start laughing. I don't have any fronts. I've got missing everything up between my canines. So on the top row. And I look over to him and I say, good job. It's important to let these young people know that just because they might be stronger or faster, that they're not going to let us old timers give us old timers a hard time.
I just look over and wink.
Are you okay? Are you fine? You seem fine, but I have blessed water if you'd like to partake.
Tell me, is there any rice wine in that blessed water?
No, I do not carry rice wine with me. I merely carry around this water blessed by the kami, to help me in my travels and to help others. You do seem to be fine, though. You don't seem like you need any sort of first aid or anything of that nature.
Quite frankly, they might need the water more than I. They, I think, have seen the error of their ways, but perhaps some kindness would make that lesson set in more permanently.
I think you're right. And I called to them. I'm like, boys, I have healing water here, so you can be cured from your embarrassing wounds after being beaten thoroughly by an old man.
They wave you off, and you see them go into what you clearly identified as the doctor's office here, and you hear them getting yelled at by the doctor like almost immediately.
I start shouting, boys, like kind of chasing after them like comedically, like in a very over-exaggerated manner. And then I'll stop at a certain point and I'll turn around and I'll start laughing and go back to talk to Sugawara.
You will see a gentleman kind of cross over and has a towel tucked in his belt, and he will say, friends, and he turns and bows to you, Fukuda, and he says, I manage the inn. Brother, would you do me the honor of coming and staying there this night for no charge?
Who's he saying that to me? Or
I assume he's saying that to the
you,
monk.
yeah.
Fukuda.
Why? Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yes, I would gladly take. You could just give me a mat over in the corner in the dining area. You don't need to make any special, rooms or anything for me. I'm a simple man.
We'll see about it. We'll see that. And you, good tinker, I have a few things to be done. Perhaps we can work with that to cover your lodging and food.
I would be honored, innkeeper.
But why don't you come roll your wagon around back, and you can put your things in my storehouse.
That would be good. We could avoid any other upturned carts due to wind.
And he'll walk the two of you over, and he will say, I must apologize for Azumi. He's the town bravo, the town delinquent. He thinks just because he runs a little side gambling that he's some kind of Tokyo thug. But as you've shown him, he is nothing.
No one is ever nothing.
Well, fair enough. I don't mean to disparage, but
they are always. We were all young once, were we not? We all did. We all made mistakes.
I was not. I've always been this old.
Oh,
cackling.
He draws the two of you in. Has you set up your things and put them away, and he will sit down with the two of you, and he says, I hope you finding our town hospitable besides that.
Very much so, yes.
Absolutely. Your people are kind. They seem to be a bit troubled, but I'm here to help take care of that, hopefully. I'll be doing a ritual here to try to calm the area. I've heard there's been some tumult.
Good. We need that. The headman doesn't want us to say anything.
I offer him the gourd and say, I have blessed water, blessed by the kami. Would you care for some? It brings blessings to your home.
And he will pour himself a glass and thank you for it. He will say, you should know there've been some killings in the area. We do not know by what.
When you say what, it sounds as though the bodies were not, as one might expect from someone who has died due to natural causes or even violent causes?
We found about 10 days ago a young couple who had snuck out after dark into the woods to meet on the mountain, and they were strung up in the trees, dead.
Like somebody hung them, or were they? Did it look like an animal? Was it a bear? Was it?
I don't know. I didn't get to see it. I only know that the doctor and the headman and perhaps one or two others got to see what happened to them, but I've heard that it was an unnatural death.
Oh, it's troublesome.
And then just a week ago, we found one of Azumi's crew. He was buried under the ground, but it was an unusual mound. It was so perfect. When they dragged him out, he'd been strangled. They could see the marks on his neck.
Who saw the marks? The doctor?
The doctor and all of us. The headman didn't have a chance to keep the body away from us.
I see.
Neck was purple with the marks all around.
Was it like regular hands?
No, like a rope.
Oh, this is disquieting.
Yeah. So there clearly something is amiss.
Clearly. Well, again, I will be doing my best to stabilize the town, bringing blessings with my rituals. My friend here seems to be very capable of defending himself, so perhaps he can help out with defending your citizenry from further attacks. But I think it's a good thing that we've showed up here.
It's good. Yes, absolutely. But don't tell anyone that I told you this.
Of course
not.
Of course
Okay.
not.
I think this would be a good opportunity to bring the four of you together, like maybe as dusk falls, either maybe meeting here in the common room of the inn after Kudo and Takagi have returned back to town, in a quiet enough place that people won't necessarily realize that the four of you together.
Do we know? Do we know? Like, I mean, I know Sugawara, but do we know that we're all on the same team?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You because you would have met up at that first day maskless. You only put the masks on when you're actually kind of out in the field.
Got it.
So yeah, the four of you can sit, and information is shared, and so. Kudo, what are you saying to the group when the camera kind of comes, in a little bit of lamplight on you, that plates are empty from your dinner?
So I think it will be something along the lines of, when Takagi takes out her survey map, with the crossed out marking that that Whitebeard left for us. I think this is, really where we need to go. The rumors and hearsay of the villagers quite naturally has been pointing at Akudo, and he has done himself no favors with his attitude, but he has, I think, in his kindness and care, shown us exactly where we do want to go by telling us not to go there.
He was really rather a pleasant gentleman once he was done shouting.
Yeah,
I
next time
think
you'll have
there's
to
always
give me some advice as to not to, go to my pistol at the first opportunity, which I'm sure you've given me in the past. At least I didn't shoot.
Never the way forward.
Turned out just fine. All right. So we know the thing, and then she sort of stops and says, "Do we know what might use ropes, vines?" This seems to be the commonality between both of the deaths, all three of the deaths.
They were all strangulations.
A rope was mentioned for each of them. The couple
Rope
was,
rope was not mentioned for the
Right.
first.
no, they were strung up, quote
Yes.
unquote. That was, I haven't, she says wove vines, so,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So,
Tell me, did this old man mention any damage to the bodies? Like, were there any wounds that would seem remarkable?
You have to talk to the doctor. I mean, as he only spoke of seeing the body of the thug who was strangled.
it was the headman and the doctor, and who found the couple strung up, quote unquote. And the place that we wanted to go to is supposed to be a good place to look down on the mountain, a sort of lookout point, so to speak,
Yeah.
correct? Where a couple might meet.
True.
So is it, I'm not sure how we are on time, is an idea to split up maybe in different groups and have one, or do we think this location is probably the best place to go for us as an entire group?
Certainly. I mean, and probably if you're going to go here after dark, you'd probably want to go as a group rather.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Does that seem fair to you, Fukuda Sugawara?
Works for me.
I mean, if we wanted to be a little bit more cautious, someone with an in to the doctor could see if we can get any more intel on whatever yokai this is by way of identifying the wounds, and then maybe go there first thing in the morning or something. I don't know.
I mean, your point about how much time we have left in the session is well taken, because we've got about, what, an hour left, more or less?
A little less than an hour, yeah.
Let us say that we take the next morning to ask the doctor, fairly point blank. We will have the Shinto priest do that, yes,
Okay.
to ask about this because he is worried. And then I think that is the person who would be least threatening. We do a little bit of an investigation. We go and collect the letter from the noble, and then that night we would go to take care of whatever we have decided this is, if we can have that information. Does that seem reasonable to move it ahead?
Mhm.
So we would cut ahead to having your Shinto priest, Fukuda, speak to the doctor. Does that work with you, Fukuda?
Absolutely.
So we cut to the doctor's office. He clearly saw you yesterday when you were heckling his patients. And he will say, "Greetings, master. How are you?"
I'm good. I'm good. I've heard that there's been much trouble around here. I'm trying to do some rituals to kind of stabilize the area, but having some knowledge of what's happened seems would be very helpful to me. Can you tell me about these? From what I've heard, there have been some killings in the area. Can you tell us about? Tell me about
Oh,
them.
people are gossiping. People are gossiping.
I would say something if people were dying in my village too.
Well, I'll tell you what I know, but
Wait, sir. Before, let me offer you this. Let me offer you this gourd of water. It's been blessed by the kami. Trying to loosen up the tongue.
he looks at you and he goes, "You got blessed by the kami. I'm a man of science."
Okay.
He says, two youngsters went out into the woods, and I suspect there must be a jealous boyfriend out there somewhere, because they were killed and then dragged up into the trees and tied there.
Dragged up into the trees.
It must have been a man who could carry them, but it was very strange. They were tied by hair to the trees there, and I've had enough experience with things. I can tell when someone has been poisoned, and they were poisoned.
Huh. And what about the boy that was buried in the strange grave?
That seems like an entirely different thing. He was strangled. We found him up near, well, people don't care for Whitebeard. So, of course, they say they found it close to his lands, but it was close, but not that close.
Huh. Interesting. Yes, we've heard that Whitebeard is a ghoul. So it's good to know.
Whitebeard, people make too much. He's a widower. They say things about him. This is village gossip. Do not take anything of it.
Very good. Thank you, Doctor.
He will say, there is a young woman who is still missing. We have not found. Went a few days out to pick mushrooms. I don't doubt anyone has told you that.
No. Tell me more.
She has not been seen in at least 3 nights. The headman has sent people out to look, but he's saying that she likely ran away to go somewhere else.
And where did he go for that? Is that in the same area as the killings? Like if you go hunting for mushrooms,
you go up towards the mountain. It's where the woods are easier, and it's not on Whitebeard's land. And there are good crevasses there.
I see. All right. Is there anything else you can tell me? Is there any other suspicious activities going around that you know of?
No. These killings are. I don't think the headman's taking it as seriously as he should, but these are the work of some monster, perhaps a murderer who's run away from the Nobu Valley, maybe out in the woods. We should be calling for the provincial police, not. And he looks at you and he goes, engaging in superstitions.
I give him a long eye, like I see. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. When you're in need of my services, feel free to stop by, and I will be happy to provide you any sort of spiritual needs that you will inevitably need to have. But thank you again for your time, and I will.
And when you're injured, you come here.
That makes perfect sense, sir.
And he will bow to you.
Bow back, and then indignantly leave.
So is there anything else you want to do in town? Who is, I heard the second step was going and getting this letter from Whitebeard. Is that just the two of you again, or are you taking any of the others with you?
Should we all should Sugara and I go like scout the other direction maybe while you go get the letter and we can meet up afterwards?
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was also thinking about trying to recruit Azumi and his goons.
After you humiliated and beat them?
Teach them a lesson. Show them, right? Yeah, exactly. Because you don't learn to beat people that badly at this age without knowing a thing or two.
Well, I will tell you something. When you go to check in on Izumi, like people tell you where to go to the little gambling place and stuff, you will talk to them, and one of the people there will say, "Oh, he and his friends set out early this morning."
Do you know which way?
I figured they were probably leaving to go up to Nobu Valley, but they packed up some things and headed out.
Do you have any idea what kind of things?
Tools, I think.
Interesting. Thank you.
So the two of you, Kudo, Takagi, will take that path up again. Yes.
I would like a knife. I would like to ask our tinker for a knife. I would like one because its tales of being tied up by hair sound particularly unpleasant, and I would like a way to not be tied up.
Single or double-edged?
A single edge, please. I would like it to be useful.
Double-edged can be twice as useful.
Or twice as dangerous.
Let me sharpen it for you.
Thank you.
And I'll do the whole thing about dropping a hair onto it, and you get to watch the hair split in half.
Seems fair. So you have a knife, +1.
Thank you.
So you're gonna, since Siri and I are in other rooms, you're going to hear these sirens double through our
Yeah,
microphones.
exactly.
I apologize in the distance. So Kudo, Takagi, you will head back up. When you get there, it definitely looks like maybe he's asked Hito to like clear the path a little, because that's clearly been moved away, and you know the front gate has been maybe made a little bit more approachable, and when you come, Hito is there very quickly, and you know, bows and lets you in, and you will see Nambu comes out. He's maybe brushed his hair, you know, brushed his beard just a little bit to be a little more presentable, and he will say, inspectors. How
You will
how
like
are-
wait for Utano to speak. He's very deferring.
Well, thank you for receiving us again today.
Well, you spoke wisdom yesterday, and what you said makes sense. I wrote out a letter with some sketches that you can take to the local folk. Just give it to someone who's not from town, who might know my hand, and I think it's good advice. I thought about it long and hard last night.
Well, they may not be appreciative of it, but I certainly am. Will, I'm sure, make my job here a lot easier.
I had Hito make some soup. Perhaps you would care for that for midday.
Some squash soup?
Yes.
Well, perhaps we can pack it in a flask and take it with us.
Yes. He seems maybe a little disappointed that you're going to move on, but he does gesture for Hito, and will bring out the soup to ladle into that, and he says, "Okay, well, it has been good to see you. I hope that if you have any other questions, that you'll certainly stop by."
So yes, thank you very much. You are too kind, and I'm sure he maybe thinks that she means it this time. It's not just a euphemism for.
not pure sarcasm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the two of you can leave. Anything else you want to do here before you head to meet your companions?
I do think that Fukuda will, as you're leaving, say, "I'm very excited. It has been a long time since I've had soup, the taste of summer. It will be lovely." And she does seem very pleased.
And yeah, so the two of you kind of head. You've got the map that you've kind of marked so that you can meet up with Fukuda and Sugawara. What do the two of you want to do on the mountain there?
Do you mean the two of us?
Oh, I mean Sugawara and Fukuda at this point when you head to the other area.
I'm still thinking about that whole Nobu Valley thing. Where is that in relation to where the bodies have been found?
Oh, that's another half or more day north of here. Very far away.
Probably unrelated then. I want to start looking around this area for drag marks.
Okay. So checking around on the mountain and seeing what you can spot or see. This feels like wisdom, right?
That or sharpness.
Okay. Do you have any tools or background that are applicable here?
I could argue that smuggling gave me an idea of how to see things that are perhaps hidden to untrained eyes.
Okay.
See paths, that sort of thing. In terms of an item, well, it's not night, so I doubt the oil lamp would do any good.
Okay.
And I don't think a rice ball will do much good.
So let's have you roll with advantage, but with a +2.
Okay. There is 3, 6 plus 2 is 11.
So you won't see any drag marks. You do see like you can see enough tracks that point you to where they must have found the pair up in the trees, but there are no drag marks around that. And it looks like they had to kind of climb up into the tree to cut them down. The only other thing you'll see, and it's a little ways off from that, but there is kind of a fairly worn footpath. Only a single tread, like only a single person has used it, but they've used it kind of repeatedly over the last few months. That kind of crosses north to south, actually heading up towards the mountain itself. And maybe coming, you're guessing maybe from the pond.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what you'll be able to see there.
So it's a worn footpath that only a single person has traveled over the past few months that leads back to the pond.
Yeah.
And there's no drag marks. It's as if these people just materialized in the tree.
Perhaps. Fukuda, what are you looking for? What are you doing?
I am. I think I'm gonna try to just I'm gonna take a gut check and see if I notice any spiritual corruption around or anything like that. Like if there's any tip off to negative energy. Ostensibly, I know what a yokai is, so I'll say a yokai check.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. I think that's wisdom.
Yep.
Do you? This is your background, so I think you can roll that with advantage.
Right. And then can I take a swig of my kami water and get a bump on that?
Yep. You've defined it as being related to the spiritual energy, so I'm fine with that.
All right. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that's it. So it's advantage +1. Oh no, it's 3. It's +3 because yes, it's +3 because the gourd is a +3 thing, right?
And +1 for your wisdom, so +4.
All right. I rolled. Wait, did I roll an 11? So I don't know, 15. Yeah, 15.
Angry ghost, vengeful, angry ghost. Like you recognize that feeling of anger, of resentment, of begrudge, all of that. It hangs around this tree where this couple was hung up. It's a kind of a malice of the the dead who believe themselves wronged. And I will say definitely a feminine energy to it.
Do I have any idea? Like, is this like an old spirit? Is it a new spirit?
It's not an ancient spirit. You'd guess just by the strength and stuff, something that just awoke in the last few months.
So I tell Sugawara, I'm like, it's an evil spirit. They are an aggrieved soul who is extremely angry. They feel like they've been harmed in some way. I would, if you were to put two and two together, you would think that perhaps this soul was perhaps the former lover of the man who was strung up here.
And why would Azumi's crony be dead?
Maybe they're related. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he did the hit. Colloquially,
Sure.
whatever the period proper word for the hit is, I'm using that.
Sure.
If that's the case, then why hasn't the ghost gone on?
There must be more to the story.
I think that's a good point to bring the two pairs together as you're kind of finishing up, that conversation. You'll hear the sound of Kudo and Tagagi approaching, and you can share that information.
Yep, given the download about everything.
Last few months, have you heard of anyone going missing or passing in some way then?
Well, when I spoke to the doctor, he said that it was just we just spoke of the murders, and that it was the couple, and then the young man who was buried in a strange way. There was no mention of other deaths. I did ask him generally about it. There was nothing else mentioned.
Didn't you tell me that he said there was a young woman missing?
3 days ago.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, yes, it's true, but she's recently missing. So we can probably assume she's got to tie into this somehow. They think that she's taken off by herself to get out of town or something, but it seems like there's something amiss is afoot.
Have we found that mound where the young man was buried?
It's nowhere near here. It's over near Whitebeard's estate.
So we might have two separate incidents? A perfect bound?
That's what the doctor had sort of intimated, that they were like unrelated to each other, because he said that the bodies of the people that were strung up were poisoned.
And
with a ghost like this, is it possible that it imbues some kind of sense of desperation or hopelessness in someone? So are some of these wounds self-inflicted?
At least what you heard, it sounded like they were poisoned, the young couple, and the other one was strangled.
Yeah, the strangulation is hard to do by yourself, but the poisoning.
Poisoning. So you mean you thought perhaps the lovers committed suicide?
Yeah.
Wow.
For a vengeful ghost, are they known to be ones that can poison people?
Vengeful ghosts tend to take their vengeance. Usually their method of killing often echoes something from their life.
Ooh.
I think.
And earlier, Loli said the last wife of Whitebeard was 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Not a few months ago.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
You will hear a thunk in the distance.
Oh,
like maybe 30, 40 yards away from where the four of you are standing. It's kind of a heavy thud.
I will indicate that I will go and check because I'm courageous and never show any sign of fear.
Kind of walk through the underbrush. It's getting a little bit later in the day now. And I think that Sugawara has pointed out that footpath to you.
Of course.
And you come there and you're certain it wasn't here before, but you will see that there is an enormous green kabocha squash sitting in the middle of the footpath.
How strange.
You think we can entice something down with some nice, fresh squash soup?
It does make me remember the soup. I feel a little hungry. And she's like, it doesn't look like a normal kabocha or like
It's a very, very well grown, beautiful, like it's large.
Does it, and I'll look up the hill. Can I see like where it's rolled from or dropped from?
It does look like it rolled down the hill. So like somebody clearly got there and rolled it down so it would land here with a thud.
And I will kind of look back at my companions and I will point up. And I think, can I follow the path of the kombucha up the slope?
Going up by yourself?
I will start. They're not that far behind me.
Well, what are the other
I think
three of you? What do
Utano
you,
is definitely backing Fujita up.
okay.
Yep.
You will move up this path and you will hear, stop there. Stop there. Stop there.
Stopped.
Follow the path. Go follow the path. That's where you need to go. You need to go follow the path.
Can I see who it is that's speaking to me?
You will lean forward and you will see this gourd, like one of those bottle gourds, not the dried ones, but the actual green ones, and it's kind of seated there, kind of hidden behind some grass.
And she says, excuse me, Mr. Gourd.
Shh. How do you? Oh. And the gourd kind of like shifts, like it tries to get behind. You hear this movement, like you can actually hear the earth kind of move as it shifts.
And she sort of stops and says, why is it that you would like me to take the path?
Because that's where she comes from.
Okay. Should I be cautious?
Yes. She comes every few nights. I've tried to stop her, to keep her from getting into the house.
All right.
But she's very strong. I don't know how long I can keep her out.
Well, thank you for your service, Master Gourd. And she bows. And she heads back down the hill.
And you hear this rumbling, like clearly the gourd like kind of submerges, and this gourd yokai kind of starts tunneling back towards the house.
I'll put my mask on.
Indeed, game face time.
Yes.
And we'll see that scene of you putting your masks on, setting them into place, and you will follow this path. It goes down towards the mountain, and it doesn't go up to that lookout point, but rather it kind of is at the base of that. And when you get down there, you can see that someone has very carefully put offerings and items and things like that. Fukuda, when you look at it, it definitely looks like someone has been putting items here to try and appease a spirit.
All right. Do I get any like vibes like it's a more powerful presence here?
Yeah, you're definitely that sense of the ghost that you had before is tangible here near this cliffside.
Okay. Is
And
it like if I walk around, does it get stronger? Like, like a dowsing rod kind of thing? Like
Ooh.
it gets stronger in certain
let's
areas?
have you roll.
Okay. Same? Is it two,
Yeah,
3?
I think that's probably the same thing as your last roll.
All right. I got 11. No, is that right? Yeah, same thing.
Two highest plus your 4.
11, 15.
You will move along. The others are kind of following your eye. You move and you kind of look and you can see that there's that lookout point and the cliff kind of comes out and there's actually a crevasse there, like a cut into the side. Like if you were on lookout point, you could throw something down into it. And you definitely have the feeling that that spirit, that's where its body is. And that's where it's hiding right now. And since it's getting on dusk, that's where it's sort of waiting.
Point down to the crevasse, like, it's here. We need to take care of this. We need to put it to rest or send it on its way somehow. But I would prefer that we don't, harm it anymore. It's just acting out in anger and rage because it's obviously met a very painful death. So let's try to send it off as gently as we can.
How do you want to approach this?
Shoot it.
Well, Kudo, what do you think? We'll start with you. It looks like you can certainly wait for it to emerge, but you're not sure exactly where it's going to come, if it's going to come up on the top or down at the bottom, or you could try and climb down into this.
I mean, wisdom is not exactly Kudo's strong point.
True.
But even she will not suggest like climbing into the crevasse of death. So maybe some light taunting instead. I don't know.
How are you taunting it?
So I think while Kudo is a very serious person, right? The mask she has is this big, round, chubby, smiley face, right? So I think even her looking over the edge of the crevasse is like some kind of challenge to the yokai. There's a spirit of happiness here where you cannot bear to have any happiness.
That seems like courage.
Okay.
Does that seem right?
Yeah. I mean, foolish, but courage is
Yeah.
the kind way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Let me think about giving the mechanics of the game a kick. So I'm thinking of rolling one of those d8s.
Okay. You get to essentially you roll 2d6 plus the d8.
This is like dancing with the devil, right?
You're at the edge of this cliff.
I mean, what's the abyss going to do? Stare back at me or something?
Something. Lest we become monsters.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything else that will help.
Well, I would always help.
Oh, but you can't take advantage on a curse roll.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just taking my d8.
Yeah, and you should roll them separate so we can tell what the D8's value is.
Oh, will it not show? Okay.
I don't think it will. I don't know.
Doesn't specify
Doesn't
which.
specify, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it does have that D6, so it might split
Yeah,
into
I will
D6
roll
and
them
D8.
separately just in case.
Okay. Okay.
Who needs that curse roll, right? I'm rolling it anyway.
So you do not, what is your curse resistance?
Is 3.
So it's not higher than that. So you do not lose a point. But you rolled, I believe, an 11 plus.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to take the roll modifier away from the last time. So that is +2.
Yeah.
To 13, yeah.
Still 13. So I think you do that spirit of happiness. And this is as you're doing this is where the sun, is setting behind the mountain. It gets red, and then that darkness kind of falls here. And there will be this shriek, and this thing boils up past you, made of hair and flesh and just black ooze coming down, and it runs through you. And you have this vision of this woman, of this servant in the house of Whitebeard. And the first wife comes, and you see the servant wait and wait, and then the servant poisons the wife. And then there's grief, and she tries to comfort Whitebeard, and Whitebeard ignores her. And then there's the second wife, and she poisons the second wife. And she comforts Whitebeard, and Whitebeard ignores her. And then there's the third wife. And again, and it's this time after that third wife that she explodes at Whitebeard and tells him, and we see him kill this servant. And he brings her body up here and throws it into the crevasse. And she is a ghost of poison and hates love in all its forms, and the happiness that you have brought, and you have drawn her out. So she is out in the area. Sugawara, what do you do?
I know that kind of grief and that kind of loss and rage. I wonder, is there any way that I could take the anger I feel at myself over putting my son in the position that he was in and direct it at this ghost?
Oh, using that like a weapon against her?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I'm down with that. You want to use a curse die with that?
I feel like it's appropriate to do so in this case, yes.
I think it's absolutely appropriate here.
What stat do you think I'm rolling with?
I think this has to be courage.
Okay. So does my background come into this? Since I'm thinking about the sea and the boat, or no? Is that
you can do that, but then you won't get the curse die.
Oh, that's right. The curse die is on. You don't
Yeah.
do. Okay, got it. So +2, 2d6 +2, and 1d8.
Yeah.
All right, I got a 3 on the curse die, 5 on the d6 +2. So that is 10.
That is
just
10.
barely.
And what's your curse resistance?
My curse resistance that's the CR boxes, correct?
Yeah.
That's 2.
Okay, so that's the curse die is higher than that, so you lose one of your curse resistances, and this thing comes at you. When you throw it to anger, it eats that anger and it knocks you down hard, and you will take 2 points of damage. And it
And where
turns
does that get noted?
and
Oh, there we go.
screeches at you. What do you do, Sugawara?
Does it look like I can grab this thing and hold it?
Probably not. And actually, I meant to say Fukuda. I apologize there. It knocks you back. Fukuda, you see Sugawara get, concentrate and get knocked down by this thing. Kudo is kind of still recovering from this flash of memory that has run through her. What do you do, Fukuda?
What I'd like to do is I would like to take the lid off of my jar of endless kame water.
Okay.
And try to run a perimeter around the whole area to contain the spirit, so it can't take off. We're gonna be able to corner it hopefully, but just basically keep them on lockdown. So we have possibly a tactical upper hand.
I think that's perfect. Yeah. So that feels like wisdom with the +3 for your canteen.
Did I get one for the roll for the Shinto roll?
Yeah.
Okay. Wish me luck. So what did I get? I got 3d6. So it's 8 + 4 would be a 12.
So you will do that, and it does try to pull away after it knocks Sugawara over. It kind of rushes to maybe go down the mountain, and it hits that and recoils back from it, and it looks around like, I'm clearly going to have to kill all of you. What do you do? Because its eyes fall on you, the youngest, prettiest woman here, Takagi.
I light a candle and I wait.
Okay.
So-
It will come at you.
All right. The whole thing is that I'm hoping to get enough of the wax that essentially I want to fling that towards her hair. Essentially, the threat of fire to her hair is what I am going for.
Interesting. So this feels like courage plus the candle. Are you using a curse die?
Yes. If this works, then I have a greater plan. So yes. Now I have this weird bit of text here. It says considerate and fighter production worker. Does that mean that I'm a fighter production worker, or does it mean I'm a fighter and a production worker? Does it mean
I
that
think fighter and I think a fighter and production worker. I'm not
okay. So I do have that ability to fight, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right, good. I will probably use that.
So you don't want the curse die, you want just the advantage?
Yeah, I'll take the advantage.
Okay, so it'll just be
I'll save the curse die for extra fun. Okay.
So 3d6, take the two highest +2.
Okay. We'll see how this goes. 5 + 2 is 7. That was terrible.
7?
Yeah.
So you draw that candle and that hair, it grabs you, and then she spits in your mouth.
Ooh.
She chokes you, and your mouth opens and she spits this poison in your mouth, and you take 5 points of damage.
Interesting. All right.
And you're kind of, the only thing that's keeping you from getting knocked off the cliff right now is that Fukuda has created this barrier there.
Yes.
Utano, Kudo, what do you want to do? You see it's got a hold of Takagi.
So I think I'm going to go in there and get his attention with my oil lamp. I mean, it's a ghost, so it's not, I mean, it's got some physical presence, right?
Yeah.
Because it's holding Takagi.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to assume that I can just, because it's darkness. So have we got our oil lamps lit?
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming
Okay.
you would have had those ready because you knew it was going to get dark soon.
So I'm going to break my oil lamp over her hair.
Okay.
And, I'm going to let that do the talking.
Then I think that you can, if you're going to break the oil lamp, I'll let you have advantage.
Okay.
And roll with the courage and the lamp with advantage.
So do I get the +3 for the lamp as well? Or
Yeah.
is that baked into? Okay.
So be +5.
Okay. Wow. That is some Good rolling. So that is a 9.
That is a 9. So you will light it up and you do some damage, but it swings around as that flames and it knocks you back, and you will fall off the cliff. And it kind of hit and grab onto the edge, and you're kind of dangling over that crevasse. You take 3 hit points of damage.
Okay, cool.
Sugawara, it's got a hold of Takagi. It's knocked Utano. She's dangling over the edge. It looks like Fukuda has contained it, but it's a dangerous adversary. What do you want to do?
Can we leave the circle without giving the malevolent spirit a chance to get out?
I think as long as one of you is in the circle, it'll be fine.
I'm probably the anchor man on that, so I'll stay in the
Yeah.
circle.
Do we know how far down this crevasse goes?
Nope.
Right. I'm going to try to pull Utano back up.
Okay. Then I think that's a simple courage check to do that.
Okay.
Is anything giving you advantage?
I mean, I'm sure I've hauled things up like this for my smuggling days.
Okay.
Pocket, can I suggest that you are like essentially I've been swept overboard during this
Yes.
Yeah.
ghostly
that works.
storm.
Perfect.
That might.
And she's short.
Yeah.
So
Very
easy to
short.
pull up.
Let's have you roll.
5 plus 6 on the dice, even before adding a modifier. So that's an 11 plus.
Yanks you up before you even have a chance to register, Utano, that you were going to fall into the abyss there. And I do think you can see the crevasse is not that deep, and you do see, like, as the light of the oil lamp kind of maybe some of the flames fall, that there is a young woman down in there unconscious.
I'm going to start sliding down.
Gonna get Kudo up. That brings us back to Fukuda.
All right, so we still have Takagi in the grips of the demon or the
Yes.
ghost, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Wikipedia. Kagura describes the music and dance performed for the kami. I would like to try to pull off a Kagura, possibly singing about love lost and spurned lovers and things like that, to try to draw the spirit towards me and to give Tagaki a break, like be able not be in the clutches of the ghost.
So that will be courage. Any other benefits you're getting?
Shinto.
Yeah, I'll give you advantage on that. Do you have an item you're using for this?
I don't know. Can I use the gourd? I don't want to like juice it.
I think we described you pouring out the gourd already. Do you want to use your sword?
Oh yeah, I'll use my sword. Like what I'll do is I'll create a dance that's like me, like I'm playing both sides. Like I'm the spurned lover, and then the guy, or whoever the rejecter is, and then there's some sort of sword play, and like I basically slide the sword in between my armpit and like fake stab myself, to kind of accumulate it into the grand finale, where the rejected one dies in a painful, horrible way, and then just to stir up her shit to kind of get her to come attack me.
Let's have you roll then. It'll be a total of a +3, and you have advantage.
All right. So +3, so that would be 14.
14. That hits it and it recoils from that. And you can see that certainly cut into it, and now it hits against your barrier as it tries to get out of here. Takagi, it releases its hold on you.
Excellent. I do not have much left, but what I do have is a hat and an oil lamp.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to soak the hat in oil and try to affix that upon the ghost.
Do you want to use your curse die?
Yes, I want to. Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
2d6 plus 1d8, and I think you're rolling then with a +3 on that.
Do I use courage then too as well? Or do you not get a skill?
Yeah, courage, another +1 on that.
Okay, so that's 4, and it's 2d6, pick the best, and 1d8.
2d6 plus a d8, and you take the 2 highest of those.
Okay. 8. I'm going to try it together and see what it does.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll work. And then I'm adding the 3 or whatever. Oh my God. How can that work like that? So those are all my rolls for this time.
That's
So, and then how much am I adding?
You're adding 4.
4. So I get 10, or do I get 8?
You get 8.
Okay.
So the good news is you're only going to take 2 points of damage.
All right.
The bad news is it does not seem to stop it at all.
All right. Oh, and I don't lose any curse resistance.
No, you don't, because it kind of got to you before you could channel that darkness. Kudo.
I mean, I think it's, I've got a 6-shooter here and I'm willing to use it.
Okay.
And maybe I'm gonna start, saying, talking to this ghost as I start pulling the trigger. Like, you think you're the only one who didn't find love. You.
I love that as you fan the pistol and complain about your lost loves to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Courage.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, I know it's slightly in my background, but I don't think it's enough to get me advantage. It's just some flavor.
That, or if you want to use your curse die again.
Yeah, what the hell? What have I got to lose? And so that is +4 for the pistol and courage. So let's see if my luck is about to turn, and it is. And I rolled an 8 on the curse dice, so you're
gonna lose that, but that's.
So that is 18.
And that shot, like you do that shot and it hits right in the middle of the forehead. And there's that minute where the ghost kind of blinks and then shrieks as it dissipates. And I think, as the sort of the ash of it is falling, we see in the background Sugawara pulling up that girl out of the crevasse. He's climbed down. Does that seem right, Sugawara?
That, and I wanted to burn the bones down there.
Oh yeah, we've got oil lamps here. You can light those up, and I think you will feel that spirit just absolutely dissipate out into the ether. And I think that is where we're going to stop. Maybe we'll do a quick, like, in the immediate aftermath epilogue. What do we see, Sugawara, for you in the immediate aftermath here at the village?
I go back to tinkering. I fix things up for the innkeeper. I pretend like we didn't notice anything. Everything was just perfectly normal. Just another day.
Perfect. Fukuda, what do we see for you in sort of the immediate aftermath? What's your epilogue?
You see me down at the town square finishing my ritual, and with a grand flourish, I declare the town cured of the evil. And I receive, they carry me around on their shoulders, and I'm like, but I'm all fake humble about it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
perfect.
and I distract the city from what actually went down.
I like it. And what about for you, Takagi?
Oh, I think she's her health is, but she goes to see the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and says that she will need some tonic because she's feeling very poorly. But she's very specific about what she needs because she's been poisoned, right?
Okay.
So, but yeah, and then I think as she's leaving, she will pull the letters from the nobleman from Whitebeard and hand them off to Utano to give over. But she will just go and sit in the porch at the inn and fan herself. If she feels better.
And Utano, what is for your immediate aftermath epilogue?
Yeah, I think you see Utano carefully transcribing the letter into her handwriting, and like everything that they have gained from him and maybe a little bit more, and then like just slipping it under the door of the magistrate's office and just like leaving, right? It's
Perfect.
mysterious surveyors.
And they're gone.
Yeah.
Do you mind doing a quick roses and thorns? I know we're a little over time. Would anybody? Okay. So thoughts, Puckett? Things you want to point out that you dug?
I liked it. One thing that was kind of odd to me was the character generator that automatically generated characters and yet would generate characters without weapons. That seemed strange to me.
Yeah.
And it did. I mean, in the case of a Shinto priest, obviously not much of an issue. In the case of a former smuggler, it's like, wait, you mean to tell me this guy doesn't have any weapons? So it was a little odd in that respect, but it's a very evocative game. Yeah. I liked it.
They let you pick 2 items from your profession, and then you roll 1 random item, and only like half of those are actually weapons. So yeah, that is a little odd. Using the automated character generator, you're right about that. Other thoughts?
I just really enjoyed it. It was about what I expected. Funny thing is, I actually I picked this up a while back, and I also quickly ordered an encyclopedia of yokai.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that if I run it, I actually know what I'm doing. But I enjoyed it. I liked the way everybody inhabited their characters. I mean, Sherry, it's always fun playing with you. Donna, I love playing with you. Abe, I think you did a very interesting job of playing a Shinto priest who knows what's going on, but still kind of almost acts like a little, not quite bumbling, but kind of leaning into that mysticism and like going to the doctor and having that exchange about faith and science and kind of bracing it like, yeah, you're a man of science. You're being hunted by a ghost and you don't even know, dude. Come on. So I really enjoyed that as well.
Nice. Abe, thoughts?
I had a great time. I think this is like, one shots are really hard to pull off, especially timing wise. And I think that you did a fantastic job of keeping us on track and fast forwarding where we needed to fast forward to get to the end, which I really appreciate because it's always like, it's like when it's like a hasty ending, it's always kind of climactic. So we got resolution and all that stuff. And it was like in a perfectly excellent fashion.
Yeah, I thought I was going to kill one of you. I honestly did.
I was ready to sacrifice being the Shinto priest. I was ready to fucking go down for the team. But I had a great time with playing in character with all of you. I really enjoyed. Sorry, I'm the fucking worst with names. Donna and Sherry, I really enjoyed how you guys played your characters like you were like surveyors. And you played it totally straight. You weren't like occult surveyors. You know what I mean? You were like, you were like civil servants out there to do a job, and then you had this like down low mission. So I thought that was really, really well done and very on point. And Puckett, I always have fun playing with you. You know, I mean, that's the reason why I picked that I knew him before, is because we played so many times before. I'm like, oh, okay, that'll be like easy for us to kind of like pull it together, but we didn't even need to, you know, within the fiction. I just had a really good time. You know,
good.
The monster was excellent. The big battle was fun. So, you know, thank you.
Sherry, thoughts?
Ah, dang, this was fun. Just these goofy little character descriptions, and we ended up with 4 really great characters. I love the pictures. I fell in love with Dano's Kudo Atano immediately because he found such a good picture for her. And so, of course, I had to follow her everywhere. And it was just, but everyone was wonderful. I liked the characters in the town. It was a really good yokai story. So, very good.
And Kudo Tano, I'll give you last word.
Yeah, I think it's like something you mentioned at the very start, Lowell, is in terms of the difficulty, right? Is, you know, hit your 10 or be doomed, and I think that really just says play to your character, play with that cursed dice to avert disaster. So that is something I was like not sure about when I read the system originally, but you know, really works well. I think, you know, just play your character to the max.
I agree 100% with what you just said. Yeah, 100%.
And then yeah, I loved our double team Sherry. It was so much fun to be playing these, like, you know, I think on the face of it, very quiet characters, you know, and yeah, I think the dynamic was really cool. And then I think, you know, the Abe and Puckett, your characters were like the people who actually kind of knew what was going on. But yeah, I mean, Lowell, I really loved the yokai in the end. That kind of reveal at the edge of the precipice was really awesome. So yeah, that was great stuff.
It's fun. I had a great time running it. I'm going to stop the recording. I can hit that.